joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut. Mucho frio, chilly day here as we prepare for another
I was out
cold.
there doing the crossing this morning. I was froze.
Well, you know, we've been avoiding the high winds, even though we've had the negative degrees, but the winds are definitely coming in today. You can feel it getting pretty cold.
Tonight's supposed to be like the coldest night, like 18 degrees below zero with the wind chill.
Yeah, and tonight and tomorrow and maybe even Saturday night, Sunday, I heard it could get up to 40 degrees.
Yeah, we're supposed to have rain, so maybe it'll help to melt some of this mess.
Maybe it'll help to clean my car.
Oh,
I can't see out my windows.
My van is so black. It used to be black. Now it's like that gray.
I don't know what it is anymore.
Whatever.
It's ridiculous. All right, well, we are here live in studio on this February 19th, 2015. There you see the number 203-792-4101. If you'd like to call, we are here for 30 minutes.
Please call. We are
live. It goes by fast. You want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, we'll talk with you. 203-792-4101. You already heard the voice of my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr. Let's say hello officially.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing quite well.
It would be nice if we had warm weather. My father-in-law called me from Florida yesterday. He says it's a beautiful 62 degrees.
Nice. Well, actually, it's even gotten cold down the coast, all the way down the East Coast this past week. Some ice storms in Atlanta, in Virginia, and some chilly, but 62. I would take that right about now. Is he down there checking out, does he go to spring training?
No, he just went down for a visit.
Oh, well, spring training, the trucks are unloaded, players are showing up, A-Rod's apologizing. Hey!
Yeah, speaking of A-Rod, let's go right into it.
All right, we'll make it quick because we're going to get more into baseball in the next couple of weeks, but A-Rod with his apology, what do you think about that?
I think A-Rod should have just kept his mouth shut, because his apology is not doing anybody any good. That
handwritten apology to the league, to the team, to the players union, to the fans, to his teammates, your neighbor, to whoever else he could list on that handwritten, heartfelt apology. You weren't buying that too much?
And I don't think anybody in the New York area is buying it either.
Well, I don't think anybody in the New York area cares. I think they all want him to just go the way of the West. They want the Yankees to buy him out and bid good riddance.
Let's put it this way. He's 39 years old.
Hasn't played really in 2 years.
His career is pretty much way over.
We have no idea if he can perform. Probably not. He'll be 40 by the time. I think he's 40, as a matter of fact, already. So. But yes, he did write that nice handwritten apology. He refused to do a meet the press type of deal before spring training. He did have a meeting with the Yankees last week, face to face, and apologized to them in person. They offered up. They kind of wanted him to go meet the press and get it over with, which I don't, that wasn't going to stop anything. It's going to be a circus at training camp anyways. It always is when he's around, so they can't avoid it. All right, Bob's show, Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. Wednesdays re-airs at noon. You can check out what's going on there. Mike Toohey is in the control room running things. Expose Cinema, his show Friday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 1. I'm looking very much forward to taping his annual Oscar show, which he calls, I believe, the Olivers.
The Olivers?
I don't know where he came up with that, but it's, these time of year, he's done some funny Christmas shows.
Oh, I can't wait to see this myself.
You should definitely tune in.
Second annual Olivers.
Yeah, we'll have to see what second annual Olivers. Tomorrow night, Friday night at 9, and at 8:30 tomorrow night, you can see part 2. We taped, I mentioned last week, I was taping Time Out with Kevin Gallagher, our Oscar preview show. This year we did 2 shows.
Actually, you said you had to do a retake.
Well, we were joined by Dee from the Boonies. She goes by Dee from the Boonies. She's got a new show, a cooking show, apparently, on on Cable Channel 23 here. And she joined us to talk movies, and let's just say she was a little bit saucy.
Oh, okay.
to fit her cooking persona.
So the first one had to do a retake?
We didn't get to the beep machine fast enough.
You didn't have the 5-second...
No delay. Redo. All right. Locally, I did want to, we will mention the Whalers. Bob's show, Spotlight On, of course, covers the Whalers. I did want to mention another local piece of sporting news. I thought this was big enough. We haven't in a while talked any high school sports, but this was a big one. New Milford wrestling team has had a stranglehold on the SWC for 11 years. Earlier this season, they had their 88 match win streak ended by Newtown. They had won the last 11 SWC championships. Newtown backed up that regular season win with an SWC championship this year, so they ended the 88 match streak earlier in the year, and they won and ended the 11-year championship streak by New Milford. So hats off really to both teams. New Milford, for one, for having that incredible run, and Newtown for coming up with the goods and ending it this year. So that was a pretty decent story, I thought, high school-wise, as all the playoffs are starting up in all the different winter sports right now. So there's usually good action, FCIAC, SWC, some good stuff. So get out to those local gyms and see what's going on. Or head over to the Danbury Ice Arena and see what's going on over there. Friday night fights, as it were, this past week, Bob.
Well, as I was there covering that.
I had some friends who were at this game. They bring their kids down. They're looking for a nice family entertainment. And lo and behold, it turns into a major brawl. One fight after another. At one point, my friend said they were down to playing 2-on-2 because so many guys were in the penalty box. You and I both think that he might have that wrong.
It might have been 3-on-3. 3-on-3 would be the minimum.
Usually, but in the FHL, who knows? Maybe
anything's possible.
They don't know, but the brawl was one of the guys who was kicked out of the game. He came out of the locker room after another brawl took place. Cole caught somebody, and that was it. Big, huge fights going on. So, some good family entertainment there.
And of course, I had to be, my daughter Jenna got sick at the game, so we went to the hospital.
Right.
And lo and behold, David Lundis right across from us with his face all cut up from the fight.
The guy from the opposing team, right?
No, from the Whalers.
The Whalers team had his face all cut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was blood on the ice. So he comes it's like a scene from the movie Rocky. After the fight's over, you end up in the hospital, you see him there.
Yeah.
Did he say there will be no rematch?
No. Well, there'll be a rematch. Matter of fact, they have to play Watertown a couple more times before the season's over. Let's check the standings
because this free fall continues. They've lost 6 straight, 11 of the last 12, I believe. They've gone from first place to fourth place. They're .61 percentage points ahead of Berkshire Battalion, who have won 5 of their last 7. So they're coming on. Whalers falling apart. 3 weeks left in the season. Before the playoffs. They have 3 home games this weekend. Friday night is Danbury Westerners night, I believe.
Yes, it is. And Brian Smythe, the new Westerner coach, will be there.
For the Westerners will be there. And there we see next weekend, Sunday, March 1st, is the annual chilly winter warm-up held by the Danbury Westerners in the Danbury Sports Dome. They used to do that at the Ice Arena. This second year now at the Dome.
At the Dome, yes.
3rd annual Big Chili 5K race. And we have information here that Dave King gave me via email. You can still register. Do it today. Chili teams are still wanted. Sign up today to compete in the 7th annual Chili Winter Warm-Up and 3rd annual Big Chili 5K race. So they're looking for racers and Chili contestants. And that's held Sunday, March 1st.
The race will run down through Bethel.
Through Bethel and Danbury, or is it now in Bethel?
Starts in the Dome. It starts at the Dome. It goes down,
back around through Bethel.
Was it down Durant? Down around that way,
around
and then
that part of town into the Worcester, probably over back end of over by the town hall in Bethel.
Yeah.
So probably could find that information on DanburyWesterners.com. Kay Schreiber and Mike Malone are the people to contact. So if you're interested in that, search it out. If you got some hot chili.
I'll tell you what, we had people come up from Long Island last year to race.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
To run in the race?
Yeah.
And, and I'm sure the chili contestants are all pretty good. So, you know, the big problem with the Whalers has been the amount of players they lost. 7 players were called up to the ECHL or SPHL.
Yes.
They also had 4 injuries, but they're getting 2 of their injured players back, and 3 of the call-ups are returning
yes.
to the Whalers. So that's 5 players coming back. The coach is preaching defense. He says it's basically been a deteriorating situation, a struggle every day trying to get a winning product on the ice with all the players they lost. And it's definitely been difficult, he said. But he said don't count them out. They got 3 weeks left, and they're going to try to get it right. He believes in the guys in the locker room. So 3 home games this weekend, trying to get it turned around.
Well, last Friday night was probably the worst game they played so far this season.
Yeah.
And then, because Saturday night they only lost 2-1, so.
And Friday was what, 6-2 or something?
6-2,
yeah. So, you know, they really are struggling. And in the losses, a lot of those losses, they are giving up a lot of goals. So that's why he's preaching defense, saying that's got them a championship before. It's got them into championship rounds like last year. So he knows what it takes to win, and that's what he wants the guys to start focusing on, clamping down on defense. Bruins could do a little bit of that.
Bruins need a kick in the pants.
In the fanny, we'll say. They have lost 5 straight, longest losing streak since 2010. Last night, they rallied from a 3-1 deficit against Edmonton to tie it and force overtime. They lose in a shootout in overtime in 12 rounds, Bob. Nobody scored
that was the
a goal.
longest I've ever seen a shootout go.
It was the longest, I believe, ever for the Bruins. 12-round shootout versus the Oilers, where nobody for the Bruins ever scored. Finally, one of the Oilers guys did score a goal there to win it. They blew a 3-0 lead against the Flames the other night.
Right.
Not good. They end up losing in overtime as time expires, a totally fluky goal right there. At least in those games, they picked up a point, much needed, because they are now only 3 points ahead of Florida and 7 points ahead of the Flyers. So, you know, they're letting the Flyers sneak back in, and they've totally let Florida get back in. And this road trip they're on, which they've lost 3 straight on already, Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton, doesn't get any easier as they're at St. Louis and at Chicago, 2 of the top teams from the West. St. Louis is the second top team at 78 points, which would be, I believe, tops in the East, because the Islanders are the tops with 77. So that's going to be a tough game, and Chicago's got 75. Bruins have, 68, I believe, right now. So, you know, they are definitely struggling and definitely needing to get things moving.
My Rangers.
Your Rangers won 4 in a row.
Yes.
They finally upended the Islanders and avoided the season-long sweep. They got a little break with a call there on a non-tripping call, led to a 3-on-2 breakaway goal that tied it. What were they down? 2-0, 3-1, 5-3 in this game. They kept coming, and they ended up winning 6-5, I believe, in that. To finally snap the streak. The Islanders had won the first 3 of the series, and they were looking to finish the season sweep, but they could not do it. Now Rangers on a 4-game winning streak. They're moved. Remember, we kept talking about how we were surprised they were remaining in 4th in the Metro.
Right.
Check the standings now. They are tied for 2nd with Pittsburgh at 73, and the Islanders remain up top 77.
Right.
Capitals right behind them from Washington at 72 points. Islanders got a tough game. They're facing the #1 team in all of hockey. I believe that game's tonight against Nashville.
Yeah, that's
Predators.
a very good game.
84 points, so that'll be a nice matchup. We'll see what goes on there. Islanders did bounce back with a win against Carolina after the loss to the Rangers. So, you know, some interesting things going on in the NHL. One of the interesting things is the defending champion LA Kings, winners of 6 in a row, Bob, finally got themselves into the top 8 seed out west. They have been on the outside looking in. They are now tied with San Jose at 66 points for the 8th spot in the West. We mentioned St. Louis is 2nd, Anaheim 3rd at 77, Chicago 4th, 75, Winnipeg, the Jets at 70. Calgary, who we mentioned, knocked off the Bruins in overtime on a fluky goal and a big comeback at 68. Vancouver, who also handed it to the Bruins in the beginning of this road trip, at 67. Outside looking in right now, Minnesota, Dallas, And Patrick Roy, remember last year,
Yes.
he was one of the top stories taking over as coach of the Avalanche, where he won multiple Stanley Cups. This year, they are on the outside looking in at 59 points. So he's finding his second season a little bit of a struggle.
Speaking of Wah, I just happened to be, my fiance's doing cards for tomorrow night for Westerners. And we're doing hockey cards, to give out.
Right.
And she found a bunch of Patrick Wah cards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from back in the day.
Very nice, very nice.
And Yagers and stuff like that.
We will see. We got some nice.
I see Connor gave you
Connor,
a
the production assistant extraordinaire, helped with the set dressing today with a few nice soccer, old-time Viva la Italia, my favorite soccer team. So we got some of that in there.
Yeah.
Why don't we get to, let's go. We're going to switch gears to the NBA right now.
Talk about the bricks.
Let's go for Connor's stat of the week before we get to Strange Man's stat of the week. And we also skipped his movie trivia. We'll run that back in a second.
Okay.
All right, NBA All-Star Game was this past weekend. A player scored 41 points. Anybody out there? We got the phone number. What's the number here? 203-792-4101. We want to answer this trivia. Who scored 41 in the All-Star Game this past week? I will let you know who it is, Russell Westbrook. And if you want to call and see, he came up 1 point short of the record. Anybody out there wants to get in on some trivia? Who did he come up just short of setting the record? The record was 42 points, set all the way back in 1962. That's your hint.
That's the year I was born, 53 years ago.
And while we're doing trivia, let's do some Oscar trivia. It's the 60th anniversary, apparently, of one of Strange Man's favorite movies, of the movie Marty, winning Best Picture in 1955. It was set in the Bronx, and it was about a butcher. Who was the lead male in the movie? Hint: he was a veteran of World War II.
I'll give you another hint, and this will be
If anybody knows, we have the answer to that. I don't have the answer to the female
He also
lead.
played the skipper on McHale's Navy.
And what's the movie about the ship that went down?
Titanic.
Not Titanic.
Poseidon.
The Poseidon Adventure. A great role he had in the Poseidon Adventure. 203-792-4101. Remind me if we don't get any calls, I'll give the answers at the end of the show. NBA. All right, Bob, what's the deal with the NBA?
I've never seen the NBA break last.
Is this an Olympic break? It's the All-Star break. It should be 5 days.
Yeah, but I've never seen it.
They've been off since last Wednesday. It's Thursday now. That's 8 days. Only 2 teams are playing tonight, so most teams aren't even coming back until tomorrow.
Right.
The Celtics played last Wednesday. They were off 3 days before that, so that means there's going to be a stretch of 13 days in the middle of the NBA season where they will have played one game. I mean, come on. What is that all about? Unbelievable. Totally ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, I did not watch the All-Star break. I was much more interested in the Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary special that was going ahead.
I missed it.
Oh, it was a great show, Bob. You should track down some of the. It's probably on demand or something.
Yeah,
you could probably kick it out on NBC on demand.
From what I heard, they had so many actors show up
many people there.
From being on Saturday Night Live.
I mean, everybody came back. Spoiler alert, Dan Aykroyd brought back the Bass-O-Matic.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he redid that skit. That was great. For my money, Martin Short stole the show. Bill Murray quickly stole it from him.
Was Bill Murray and Eddie Murphy there?
Eddie Murphy was the one disappointment. He really didn't want to be part of it. He just wanted to show up and say hello and thank you, which is what he did. He did not get involved in any of the skits. But he did come out on his own for a moment. That was a little bit of a letdown. People kind of wanted him to
Steve Martin?
Steve Martin was the de facto host. He was basically the host, so he was there. It was really a good show. Jerry Seinfeld had a nice little bit in there doing some stand-up. But they had all the old actors. Wayne's World, they did the Wayne's World bit, came back on. That was great. So a lot of stuff came back. Really good show, well done. Some of the music was a little bit probably excessive. I would have been happy to just see Paul Simon and Paul McCartney perform. I didn't necessarily need to see the new Miley Cyrus.
Did Dan Aykroyd do with the Blues Brothers skit?
They did a short little Blues Brother cameo with Belushi's brother there, James Belushi.
Yep.
So, you know, overall it was a great show, but much more entertaining than the absolute disgrace of an all-star game. What was the point totals in this? About 300 points combined?
Yeah.
More than that, actually. They set the record for most points combined in the all-star game. Russell Westbrook was the MVP with the 41 points. You know, just ridiculous. And the night before was the Stars competition. Steph Curry won the three-point shootout. And the kid from Minnesota was the dunk champion, Zach LaVine. I never heard of this kid before. Not really a big-time player. And that's really the problem with the dunk contest. The format, for one, is a little shaky, although this year was better.
And of course.
And there we see some nice vintage dunks from way back in the dunk machine when they used to have all the stars come out. I mean, Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins.
Right.
Those guys used to show up. Dr. J. Vinsanity and Kobe Bryant even. I'll give Kobe some props for once. Even though he was young when he won, he wasn't really a star yet.
Right.
But, the stars used to come out and do the dunk competition. Now the stars are like, nah,
we don't want to do it no more.
I want to take 13 days off.
Right.
And I want my coach not to play me on back-to-backs during the regular season, which happens all the time in the NBA now. All the stars get rested. I mean, could you imagine way back in the day if Larry Bird was like, you know what?
If Bird and Johnson and all them
we're
guys.
We're playing the Lakers tonight. We might see them in the finals. I don't want them to see what kind of moves we have this year, so I'm going to rest in that game.
It would
this
never
year.
happen.
Never in a million years would these guys sit out these games like that, which happens all the times. It's a total disservice to the fans who pay top dollar to go see these games, and they show up maybe once a year. They're lucky enough to get to a game. And, oh, by the way, LeBron's like, I don't feel like playing tonight. I need to rest my, my knees. I need to be I'm ready for the playoffs. I mean, come on. It's really ridiculous. So there were trades today. Nothing spectacular.
It was basically the Nets having a fire sale.
Well, they did trade. I was happy. I've been hoping that they would trade Kevin Garnett. And, he didn't go to a contender, that's for sure. But he did go to his home where he started his career and played most of it in Minnesota. So he gets to go home, which will be a nice landing spot for him, and he will get to retire a T-Wolf. So that's good for him. The Celtics made a sneaky move today. The Suns, who are holding off OKC for the 8th spot at 29 and 25, OKC 28 and 25, they traded their best player to Miami, Goran Dragic, their guard, which, they basically blew up their team. So I don't know what they're thinking, but they sent him to Miami. That was, a big deal. And the weird thing about this is they signed Isaiah Thomas Jr. from Sacramento in the offseason this year, which everybody knew was going to cause problems. They were guard heavy already. They had a really good team last year, and now they brought in another guard, so there was going to be not enough space really for the rotations. Caused problems. Dragic basically said he didn't trust the team anymore. He's going to be a free agent. He wanted out. So they traded him. And then they go ahead and they trade Isaiah Thomas Jr. to the Celtics today. So the Celtics get another good young player. And they gave up, one of their bench players. So really, they didn't give up anybody to get this kid. The Celtics, any strange moves, Wheeler and Dealer, Ainge, definitely pulling the trigger once again, getting it done. The Wheeler and Dealer that he is, always making moves. So I was actually pleased to see that trade go down, even though it will be a little strange rooting for somebody named Isaiah Thomas in a Celtic jersey.
Hey, come
thinking
on.
back
we
to all
we
the
have
battles
to get back to the. Look
the bad boys of the Pistons, Isaiah Sr. So, that will be a little bit interesting, Bob, to do that. But the other trades that went down, nothing major. Some of the bigger trades already happened with the Celtics trading Rondo to Dallas. Amari Stoudemire got bought out by the Knicks, and he got signed by Dallas. So they get Rondo and Amari. And, Memphis made also a bigger move early in the year, trading for Jeff Green from the Celtics. Looking at the standings real quick, I'll just give you the rundown. In the East, it's the Hawks, it's the Raptors, it's the Bulls with that big win over the Cavs right before the break. It's the Wizards, it's the Cavs, it's the Bucks, and then at 22 and 30, tied for 7th and 8th, Hornets and Heat. Looking for Kemba Walker to come back from injury. We'll see what he can do. And right behind them, 1 and 2 games out of that 7th and 8th spot, is Brooklyn, Detroit, Indiana, and Boston. Brooklyn trading players away, so maybe they'll fall away. Detroit has been a hot team since they let go of Jay Smoove, and Indiana's been hanging around, but they've been an injury-riddled team. The Celtics have a lot of winnable games coming up in the second half, so I got my eye on the Celtics.
One thing we don't have to worry about is the Bricks doing anything.
No, Melo shuts it down 6 to 8 months. He's out with the surgery. Out west, it's Warriors, it's Grizzlies, it's Blazers, it's Rockets, it's Mavericks, it's Clippers, it's Spurs, and then it's the Suns, who will probably fall to the wayside. And OKC will move into the 8th seed. Fakers are just slightly ahead of the Bricks. New Orleans are right on the outside looking in. There's a lot of talk of changing the NBA format because...
So, we want to give the trivia question answers?
All right, trivia questions. We didn't get the call. We'll go to the NBA one first. Do you have the answer, Bob, or did you already hear me say it before the show started?
I didn't hear you say it.
His nickname is the Stilt.
Oh.
Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain scored 42 points in 1962. That is the record for an All-Star game high. And the acting movie trivia, Ernest Borgnine, who passed away, I believe, last year, right?
Yes, he did. And I was able to have a nice interview with him about 2 years ago.
Really? You got a chance to, where'd you meet him?
At Chiller in New Jersey.
Wow. He's a legend in the industry.
Oh, I'll tell you, he was one of the nicest people I've ever met.
I believe it. I believe it. All right, UConn has a big game tonight at Memphis. I know we're running out of time, but we got a minute or so left. They're sitting at 14-10, 7-5. Crushed Valentine's Day massacre at SMU on Saturday night. Thankfully, I was enjoying the romantic evening and not paying attention to college basketball because Colorado State was getting crushed at San Diego State as well. So that was a bad night for the college hoops. But they're looking to do something here as they're at Memphis tonight. Trying to keep their very slim title defense playoff chances alive. They need to win basically out and then win the tournament, AAC tournament, to get in.
We're back live next week, right?
And we are back live next week. We'll do a little bit more college hoops. We'll
talk some more about the Whalers. We'll talk about...
See where the Whalers are at. We'll see where we'll check in spring training and start updating who did what in the off season. All right, we are
Everybody have a good weekend.
29 days until spring. That's